Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors from the Open Season Property Studio. Listen, if you're looking to purchase that perfect piece of hunting property or upgrade your farm equipment, or if you're just dreaming of owning your own slice of heaven out in the country, look no further than Mississippi Land Bank for your financing needs. For more than 100 years, farming families and landowners in North Mississippi have turned to Mississippi Land Bank for all kinds of financial solutions, whether it's for land, equipment, or livestock. For more information, visit mslandbank.com or go by and see one of their friendly staff at any of their offices. So now let's turn the page and move over to a man who needs no introduction to outdoorsmen and women in this state. He's Mississippi's greatest outdoors ambassador, Will Primos. How you doing, Will?
I'm great, Ricky. Thank you. That's quite the introduction. I appreciate it.
It's good to see you. Look, we got a chance to chat with Billy there in between segments, but man, we're lucky to have a leader like Billy, aren't we?
We are. You know, I'm proud of my relationship with Billy, to know him, to have worked with him in some business issues, and also to see his commitment to wildlife on the commission. He's doesn't make quick decisions. He listens and tries to get the right information so we can do what's best for the state, but best for the public of Mississippi, the hunting, fishing public of Mississippi, and that is what's important.
Hey, and Will, I want to thank you, man. I've had, of course, Billy said this, but I've heard from so many people, your voice, whether it be the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund or whether it be how we manage our wildlife in this state, your voice is so important to that. And your commitment to say what needs to be said when it needs to be said over the last few years has been something to watch. And I tell you, man, a lot of people notice it, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. If we don't step up with the right knowledge, if we don't look at what's going on, the results could be disastrous for the state of Mississippi and the country.
Yeah, I know you believe that strongly. Listen, you just got back from Europe, and it's interesting. You sent a couple of pictures, and it didn't seem right. You shopping in in the downtown areas of Europe. It did seem right when you sent me some pictures of some old hunting books out in the rural areas.
I am going to correct you because I was not shopping. My wife was shopping. I was with my wife. So Mary is 72% English. I have a lot of Irish and Scottish in me. But Mary's been wanting to go to England and Scotland and Ireland for a while. So we planned a 3-week trip. And I didn't know how well we were preparing that trip. We hired some great people to advise us. They interviewed us, and we went to some places and learned some history. Winston Churchill is a hero of mine. Somebody who's willing to tell it like it is and stand up. What a fantastic orator who can communicate with people. If it wasn't for him and his ability and his friendship with Roosevelt, oh my gosh, where would we be? Woo. So I got to go to the war room. I got to see where he conducted the war. I got to go to his burial site. I got to go to his church in the Cotswolds. Oh my gosh. So there was a lot of history, a lot of the royal family involved, but it was a fantastic educational trip.
Isn't it great to get back in touch with those roots? And the other thing is getting, the perspective you get from going out into the country and seeing that, we may be separated by thousands and thousands of miles, but the love of the outdoors is something that's universal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I got to fish on the Dees River while I was there in the Highlands of Scotland. But I'm telling you, Winston Churchill, one of his quotes, I can't quote it exactly, but he said, "Those that don't know history are bound to repeat it." And to go back and to understand where we came from, why the decisions were made, why we're where we are, why the Mayflower sailed in 1620. I got to go where it left from. I got to go down the Thames. I got to connect mentally and emotionally to what all of the people who came before us have done to give us the opportunity we have. And for us not to understand that and understand Alexander Hamilton and Madison and Jefferson and Washington and their relationships and the Revolutionary War and separating from the king. And where did they get the knowledge? Where did Madison, Jefferson, and others get the knowledge to write and to form the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence? Most of it came from Scottish scholars. They were educated by Scottish scholars. And just to see that firsthand and learn, I mean, I just got so excited. I just loved it. I'm sorry I waited to 72 years old to go see it.
And then you think about, okay, fast forward a bit and think about conservationists like Aldo Leopold and the North American wildlife model and why that was so important and how that connects back. All these dots connect, don't they, Will?
They sure do. And if you look at what he wrote in the Sand County Almanac and you read that and you look where we are today, to think that he had the foresight, the insight to write the things he did. Now you look at the problems we have today that need some serious scientific attention so that we can right the ship, so to speak. It blows my mind. Thank heavens for those commissioners who look to science and look for the input to make good decisions on the commission for us, the Mississippi hunting and fishing public. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah, it's so important. As I said in my opening statement, this notion of Mississippi's wildlife legacy. What does that mean? It's about understanding the impact that we have, and then it's also understanding what are the actions that we can take that can protect and even enhance for generations to come this thing that we're able to enjoy today. Will, there are always going to be challenges. There are always going to be disagreements, But at the end of the day, that's democracy. That the opportunity to have these rich discussions and to debate, where should we go from here? But always keeping what Aldo Leopold taught us with the North American wildlife model, that wildlife belongs to the people and we have to manage it and we have to be responsible stewards of the land. As long as we take that approach, we'll come to good conclusions about where we need to go from here, won't we?
Well, how do we take charge of the opportunities we have and see something good happen from them, like the turkey stamp and other issues? What happens? I don't get it. For any legislator to be in the Mississippi legislature and not truly value how much the public of Mississippi loves to hunt and fish and what the economic impact of that is, I don't get it.
Well, I think what I've come to appreciate, and I've reached out to Bill Kincaid, the chairman of the House Wildlife Committee, and to Neil Whaley, the chairman of the Senate Wildlife Committee, repeatedly, and neither has gotten back to me. But what I hear is there was something between the two of them. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's take a step back for a second. Let's try not to focus too much on that, but more the process that enabled that. And what I think the process that enabled that is this, that these two chairmen are not communicating with each other the way they need to be. Okay, they're not as passionate about success as they need to be. In order to have success, I don't care if you're talking about a bill about jaywalking or a bill about turkey, a turkey stamp. Any great legislator would tell you the only way to be successful is you've got to be, if you're a Senate chairman, you got to be able to cross over and talk to the folks on the House side. You got to be, if you're on the House, you got to be able to go do that on the Senate side. I've had legislators and others repeatedly on my other show who have talked about what it takes to have success in the legislature. We're not doing that on wildlife issues. We're just not doing it. I mean, like the House overwhelmingly passes a reoccurring financing fund our approach for the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund. It goes over to the Senate and dies in committee. Don't even have a conversation about it. I could name other things. The discussions that you and I had about whether there ought to be at least some requirements for commissioners before they're selected. That bill goes to the Senate, it dies. But the bottom line is a lot of bills die, and a lot of bills, it takes a couple of years to get them done. But we're not having the kind of open and constant debate on wildlife issues in both houses the way we need to. I mean, that's just the reality. Yeah, so we've got work to do.
I understand all of that, as you do. And I understand that there are so many other things that the legislatures feel is more pressing, that needs their eyeballs more focused, like Medicare.
Yeah.
And like health insurance and so many other things that affects the general public. But they don't appreciate how much the outdoor world affects it. Our hunting and fishing life, how it affects so much of our lives and our mental stability.
Hey, so let's do this. We'll pick it up right there when we get on the other side. But this is Will Primos. Again, he needs no reintroduction, but we enjoy when we get a chance to visit with Will. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to SuperTalk Outdoors. Appreciate you joining us. You know, we're so fortunate to be here, and we're so fortunate to have great sponsors. Two of them, Austin Seals and Jordan Blissett, are terrific. You know, in a world where honesty and dependability are so important, Austin and Jordan of Open Season Properties really kind of stand out in their commitment to integrity and hard work. With a background in agriculture, science, marketing, and hunting land development, the team offers a real service that you can rely on when you're buying or selling real estate. Whether it's your family property or your first piece of ground, they understand the significance of every transaction. Specializing in recreational land, poultry farms, investment properties, farm and timber lands, and more. They are here to meet your real estate needs. Give Austin Seals and Jordan Blissett of Open Season Properties a call and experience the difference. Okay, we're privileged to have them as a sponsor. Back to my friend Will Primos. We were talking about how frustrating it is when bills that should just zoom through the legislature, where a lot of people working hard. I think the wild turkey bill is a defining moment, because here's a bill where the language in the Senate bill and the House bill was identical. Everyone was working together. I would say everyone's working together except maybe the House and the Senate. I think there was some breakdown in communication there. But I'm saying the outdoors community was heavily engaged in it. And here it is, the final minute. All it's got to do is just cross the finish line, and it dies. How did that happen? Well, we just have to stay focused on making sure it doesn't happen again. And what I would say is reach out to Jason White, the Speaker of the House, and to Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann. And they ought to do some soul searching about the role that their chairmen are playing, because the reality is, you're right. These are busy legislative sessions. They had the new formula on education, and Medicaid expansion, PERS, all these things they had to deal with. But see, that's why you have chairmen of each of these in the House and the Senate of the Wildlife Committee, so they can help make sure we don't lose focus on the things that matter. So we've got work to do. And listen, Will, you know this better than most. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's why we were so focused on the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund and making investments in our outdoor future. We just have some work to do. So we won't continue to beat them up, but what we're going to ask them to do is work to fix it next year, so we don't have to deal with that again.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the last session, I talked about mental stability. If I'm having a rough day, all I got to do is move 5-10 yards into the woods and look at the wind blowing and leaves off those tulip trees, a beautiful hickory, listening to the birds. I mean, and all of a sudden I can find the peace that I need to help me make a good decision. So it's about our mental health. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. I agree. For me, it's going back on my back deck and watching a bald eagle kind of sparring with an osprey. I mean, and you never know what you're going to see. Or watching my kids, catch flounder and redfish and specks. And I mean, I could go on and on. But this outdoor. Go ahead. You're talking high class here. Redfish, specks, flounders. When I was your grandkids' age, I was catching croakers and hard-headed catfish and needlefish. Hey, we catch some of those too, and we love it when we do. That is for sure. But Will, it's important that we have these conversations, because it's educating the general public about why we have to pay attention. The work of the outdoors, and this is again why I think that this show needs to be the voice of the outdoors. is, we've got a commission that's got to do their work. We've got a legislature that's got to do their work, but we got a public that's got to do their work. The public's got to get more involved. They got to pay attention. They got to go to public meetings. They have to pay attention to what's happening in the legislature. They got to post about these things. They got to share the show. I could go on and on. We all have a role to improve and enhance the outdoor enjoyment in this state, and I think we're making progress. The fact that we're even having this conversation, Will, is progress. Well,
I think that the governor is paying attention, obviously, about the commission and what's needed. And as he vets the different people that are brought to him to be possibly serve on that, it's a huge decision that will set the course for the future of the state.
Yeah, I'm confident. The feedback that I've been getting through various people who know the governor, know his staff really well, they're taking their time. I think they're going to vet a bunch of names. My advice is to not let the special interest decide this. Pick people like Billy Munger, selfless, smart people who are going to do their homework and make decisions based on what's best for Mississippi over the long haul, not based on a single special interest. I'm really confident that we're headed in that direction, and I think we all have something to look forward to as it relates to that. Listen, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. You too. It's always good. Thank you for being the voice for us, because you're doing a great job bringing all this to light, getting the right people out there that can share their views and their interest with the public. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Will. I appreciate it. I appreciate you as well for your inspiration. Hey, listen, it's been a great show today with Billy Munger and Will Primos. As I always end every show, always when you're in the outdoors, put safety first. Don't drop your guard for a second. Enjoy it. Don't have a tragedy. Stay focused on safety. Listen, have a great week. We'll see you next week, and God bless you.